Hello folks, and welcome to another live video. We're doing another apple tasting. We had a few technical difficulties with the last one. The synchronization between the audio and the video was not together.
Yeah, I hope you don't find that too intrusive because we don't know how to alter it, but please give it a listen and see what you think.
Yeah, and that will be, I'll make sure that that's put up before this video. Okay.
Yeah. Today we're going to look at some more mid-season apples. A number of them are ripe much too early, as you probably suspect from our previous videos this year because of the hot weather. But we've got, how many of it is it? I think it's eight varieties today, which I hope you find interesting. Now, where did I put my... I've got a score sheet. Can you see where that is, Julie?
Yes, it's behind you.
I'm always mislaying stuff. Thank you very much.
It's his age.
Shut up. So the first one is one of our Leicestershire unique seedlings. This is one of the apples we've found during our search for the Leicestershire heritage apples, and this is actually a seedling grown from a pip from Howgate Wonder. It's very similar to Howgate Wonder, which some of you will be familiar with. It's large and sort of late mid-season, and it's a dual purpose, so it can be used for cooking or eating. And this is very similar to the Howgate Wonder itself. It has one advantage over the Howgate Wonder though, in that it's not biennial, so it has a crop every year. So let's see what it's like. Now remember, it's relatively early for this at the moment, so we may find it's a little bit sour. But it's an excellent cooker and matures to a nice eater later in the season. And it's known as Chapman's seedling. Well, if I was given one of those for my lunch, it would be okay, wouldn't it?
Yeah, nothing special. I'll give this a 3.
Yeah, I'd give it a 3 as well. The valuable thing about this apple is that it never fails. We've known this tree for 28 years, and no matter what the weather, it always has a good crop. And we think the reason for this is that when it blossoms, the blossom doesn't come all at once. It comes over approximately 3 weeks. It's spread fairly thinly over a 3-week period, and so if you get frosts that take some of the blossom, there's always enough left to give you a crop afterwards. So it's quite a valuable apple from that point of view.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it never fails. Oh, let's put the numbers down. So 3, 3, 6. And it's quite good for toasted apple as well. You might have heard of toasted apple, where you slice the apple in half, take the core out, fill it up with butter and sultanas and a bit of sugar if you want it, and stick it under the grill, and 10 minutes time you've got a lovely cooked apple, which is rather like baked apple, but if you don't put it in the oven, if you grill it, it's lighter in texture. Okay, next one is this one. As you can see from the skin colour, it's damaged of course because there are very few on the tree this year. That's Malus Geneva, and it's another of our red-fleshed apples. This one was given to me by a friend in Germany, Reinhardt. You can see the colour, it's very bright red. Great for apple pies this is. Probably not great as an eater, but it's very, very good for apple pie. It's got quite a rich flavour this year. That's not bad. Must be all the sunshine. It's quite high in sugar. There's a little bit of tannin in the skin. There's a hint of bitterness, but it's okay. That's
I'm going to give that a 3.5.
Yeah, it's better than the last one, isn't it? Yeah, I agree. 3.5's about right. You can see it would make nice cider as well because it's got a good colour. It would be pink. And it's sour enough. There's a little bit of acid there, so you'd have quite a nice balanced cider. The next one is also red fleshed. You can see this one isn't quite as dark. It fell off the tree yesterday. And this is known as Bayer Marissa. It's been issued in the UK commercially as a garden tree. I don't think they call it Bayer Marissa, but I don't want to get the name wrong. There's a it could. Oh, no, I can't remember what the name is under which it's sold. I'll put it in the comments. There we go.
Yeah.
Now this isn't quite as good as the to me anyway, not quite as good as the Geneva at the moment. I don't think it's quite ripe.
I'll give that a 2.
Yeah. A bit of an unfair test there. We'll revisit that one. I'm going to give it a 3. I quite like tart apples, but it's definitely not quite ready. This one we've met before. This is West Virginia Sweet. I'll just turn it round to show you the colours. Usually it's ready in mid-October. It's now the 26th of September, so it's 3 weeks early. They're falling off the tree, but they're not fully ripe. So it looks fairly juicy as I cut it. Wow, that tastes really different. That's quite good. This is one of those fruit where if you had a blindfold you wouldn't know what fruit it was. Doesn't taste like apple, does it?
I agree, yeah. It's totally different.
But it's rather good.
I'm not sure what to make of that.
It tastes of now, is there anything that you can think of that tastes similar?
Don't look at me, Nigel. I don't eat it. Don't taste like meat, anyway.
There's a hint of there's a hint of. Do you want a bit more?
No.
There's a hint of violets in it. You know when you smell a violet. It's very sweet as well. There's another apple that tastes a little bit like this called Maloney Lily, which is issued by Lubera, a Swiss nursery. But this is very, very similar. I think this is slightly better, probably. Well, I'm going to give that a 4.5. I think that's very attractive. What do you think, Julie? Or is it too way out for you?
No, I'll give it a 3.
Okay. Now we're revisiting the next one. This is Bruinsdorfer. I went all over the tree and I found the least ripe. The ones that we tried last time were slightly overripe. This is an East German apple, which was rescued from the coal miners by a person contacting us. They were digging a new open cast coal mine and they had to bulldoze an orchard before it went in, and this comes from that orchard. Well, this apple doesn't, but my tree came from a cutting from that orchard. And it's got a beautiful pale pink colour. It's fairly soft, and the skin is quite soft too.
I'm going to give that a 3.
A bit more. It's slightly tart this year. Not quite enough sugars, but has scored 5 in the past in our tastings. I think I'm going to give it probably a 3.5. It sometimes has a hint of peaches in it, but this year it hasn't. It's got a sort of overall sourness rather than a pleasant balanced flavour. So we hope for better than that next year from that one. You say 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Our next apple is an old English apple called Darcy Spice. See, there's no red in it at all. Quite an attractive apple. It's quite firm at the moment. Not sure how ripe this is, but it came off in my hand. Looks to have plenty of juice in it. It's an old English variety. There's a hint of citrus in that. It's quite firm, juicy, quite a lot of sugar in it, but it's also fairly acidic too.
No, can you put that in here?
Quite a concentrated flavour.
I'll just give that a 2.
Okay, I'm going to give that a 4. Right, 2 more to go. We've got an apple here that was found in Surfleet, which we thought it was a sour apple.
Where's Surfleet?
Surfleet is in it's near Spalding.
Right, okay.
In fact, this apple was located by a friend of ours, Daphne Ledwood, who some of you might know. We thought it was a sour apple to begin with because the first year we picked it was quite early. It was September when we picked it, and the apples were not ready. And clearly the kids had been at the tree and they'd tried to eat them and found they were no good, and they were littered all over the road. They were obviously been thrown at each other. But we found that when this is fully ripe, it's very pleasant. It's late September now, possibly not quite ready yet. But again, it came off in my hand, so it must be nearly ready. Well, that's quite close. It's nearly that's nearly ripe. In fact, I think it is ripe. Quite sweet, quite firm.
See, I don't like it.
No, it's not that
2.
far. Not that far
I
from a
can see that.
supermarket apple, but it's not as high in sugar, and the acid is a bit higher. I'm going to give it 3.5. We're having some disappointing results this year, mainly because of the weather, I'm afraid. We're seeing that the way in which some of these apples have ripened is not as it should be. And this doesn't bode well for storage. I suspect that there will be no apples at all left on the trees at mid-October, and as you probably know, if you're storing apples, there is no point in storing anything that you pick before 15th of October, because it just will not keep. But we shall keep our fingers crossed. There might be a few still on the tree at that time. This last one is an apple which we found growing wild in Wibtoft, which we call the Wibtoft pippin. It's got a very concentrated grape-like flavour when it's ripe, which is why we decided to preserve it. very, very not complicated, very concentrated flavour. The skin is a bit tough. It's quite an attractive apple. That would benefit from being kept for a few days, but I'll give that 4 at the moment. It has some grassy.
No, I give it a 2.
Only 2.
Yeah. No, I don't.
Yeah.
Especially the peel in that is very tough.
Yeah, the peel is tough.
Yeah, it's hard to digest.
Well, we will revisit some of those as more of them come online.
So.
Right, I will hold this up so people can see what the scores are. There we go. Yeah. The red-fleshed ones are marked with a red dot. You can see they're rather lower than the scores we get usually, but this, as I said earlier, just reflects the season. We hope that the next one gives us some more pleasant surprises.
Okay, Nigel.
Anything to add?
Yeah, a bit of a disappointment, wasn't it, this time?
Was really, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, more for you next time.
Okay, thanks for watching,
Thank you.
folks.